I always look at those kinds of things and say, well, I can buy it for $50 cheaper. That's a plus one to it.
Yep.
Is the service at that wholesale house mediocre enough that I'm going to be frustrated
Right.
and spend 30 minutes longer picking up my material?
Yeah.
Because then I didn't save any money. I don't know.
I don't know either. Well, anyway, I did hit record, so we're going right now.
We're in it.
How you doing, man?
Right. I'm doing good.
Good. And I want to say welcome to the Make Trades Great Again podcast. Everybody listening, those watching over on the YouTubes, thank you for watching us. I do appreciate it. That audience is growing incrementally, one by one.
Excellent.
I'm very excited about that. We are trying new things all the time with our audio and video interface, studio and lighting. And man, I tell you what, it's like Hulu Studios up in here or something like that. Maybe Netflix. I don't know. No, what's like the most janky streaming app there is? Like, what would that be? Like in your house, if you guys are going to stream something and it's on like that one app you don't like, what's that app?
Right. What the heck is there's a one out of Mexico that we have to watch soccer on sometime. What the heck is that called?
Telemundo?
Yeah, no, it might be. Yeah, it might be Telemundo. It's not one we use. So every time you get into it, you're like, what the?
That's us trying to use Paramount. I'm like,
oh, okay.
It doesn't move when I push the button. It doesn't I don't know. I don't know why. I'm like, how did they screw this up? Right. Well,
right.
Anyway, this is the MTGA streaming studios.
Right.
The M&M Studios, Minnesota, Montana studio. God, I'm just going to stop talking about this right now.
I was going to say, moving on
and go. All right, Andy, I got
other
a question
stories
for you. In today's episode, I had a topic idea, and I'm just kind of springing it on you more or less. Kind of like the days of old. Supplier loyalty, and we've talked about loyalty to suppliers in the past, but this one's a little different, and it's just it's just top of mind for me right now. So I got an email the other day, a monthly specials email I get from one of my suppliers every month.
Okay. Yeah.
First week of the month, you can almost set your watch by it. Here's what we got going on, and there's always like a list of this particular supplier does really well, like buy 6 or 10 water heaters, we'll give you deep discounts, that kind of thing. That's always in this. And then like, hey, this toilet's on sale this month, buy a whole bunch of them, that kind of thing. Yep. And it's a useful email, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I open it up every time. I wouldn't say I buy something off of it, because of it every time, but it's nice to know what's out there or what they're working on at that shop. And this is a Hajoka supplier. It's called Roberts Hamilton, as if it matters to anybody that isn't in the Twin Cities. But this particular supplier, as it pertains to tankless water heaters, has always been a Rinnai and Rheem supplier.
Okay.
And I open up the monthly specials email, and there it is at the top, Navien, for the first time ever for this company.
Yeah.
This particular supplier. And so that was surprising to me because pretty much, the other couple big ones in town have been selling Navien for years.
Sure.
And I didn't expect to see that considering the one was selling Rinnai. I don't know if they're still selling it or not, Rinnai. Can you have both in the same shop?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't have any idea.
One or the other company has something to say about it. I'm sure they don't like it.
No, I would not think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting though to see that. I guess you got to look at the game there, right? Do you sell something different to like promote diversity and what you can sell? From the supply chain side, and I'm just like speculating on it.
Okay.
But I would assume that when you're in that position, you look in, you have, insight into, well, this is what we're selling. This is what our other branches are selling. we're speculating that, the other branch that's selling brand A, or the other supply house that's selling the other brand, the competitor's brand, is also selling the same amount. And if we have something different, then we're going to sell to that market that doesn't want what they want or what they're selling, right? So you may gain customers based on you selling something different.
Yeah. Another way to look at it might be from the supplier side, might be they've been pushing these one or two other brands for years. Maybe they're not seeing the sales that they think they should for that particular type of product. And they know that the other suppliers are selling that competitor product, brand X, and they finally decide to bring it in. I'm sure bringing in something like a tankless water heater that has multiple SKUs and accessories, along with it is going to come, service calls
Parts.
into the, your support staff, your sales staff, things like that. You're going to have now start fielding like tech support type of questions. So it's, can you imagine making room in your warehouse for like a whole thing? Like, this isn't like, oh, we're going to start selling these ball valves now instead of this other ball valve, like, okay, big deal.
Right.
Instead, we're going to now sell this super complicated, very high buck bunch of inventory that's going to require some major changes in our operations or some disruption in the operation for a little while, right?
Yeah, and I think the thing that we generally think about with a supply house, and there's not always, but this particular brand, this Roberts Hamilton that you're talking about, they're probably not the only branch, right? So if you're going to bring it into one, you're bringing it into maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 branches in a local area or a region that you're going to say, well, we're going to try this.
Right, because I suppose
we're going to try and bring this.
Yeah, it's coming from above, right? Maybe it's not just that local branch. Because I think this one I'm talking about, Robert, I think they're like a pretty independent, right? They've got a couple of their own branches under that name, but I think they're kind of like, they are a Hajoka supplier, but I've never done business with anything on the face of it that was called Hajoka. Does that make sense?
Yep. No, I agree. Yeah,
it'd be like if Ferguson just all of a sudden started calling their individual branches like their own names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so that being it, like I said, so like the other big ones in our area would be Good and Company, huge regional, great company.
Sure.
Like 20 something, I don't know how many brand, huge supplier for a regional, locally owned. And then you have, Ferguson, of course, number one in the country for like size, right?
Sure, right.
Those two have been selling and pumping out Navians for forever.
Yeah,
and I know the rep real well for Navian, and they're also like my Takeo rep, and they rep other things that I've worked with for years. So I wonder if they're just if on the net. So then you look at it from the company side, the manufacturer, and I wonder if they're have been always on the push to like expand their offering, to gain more sales. You got to get into more outlets, right? I wonder if that's the case. But my question to you is this: so in my case, like this isn't a Navien commercial. This isn't a Rinnai commercial or anything like that.
Right.
It's just simply, I've bought and installed many, many Navien tankless water heaters over the years.
Sure.
I'm a fan of their product. I'm also a fan of their competitor's product, Rinnai, especially. But anyway, I've been buying them from Gooden, for example. I've bought a few from Johnstone. I've bought a few from Ferguson over the years. But really my loyalty, my go-to, because it's just been, good offering, good pricing, good support, has been to Gooden. Okay. And in this case, what I bring, like literally, I'm asking you, if that were your situation, this happened in your town, would you go from who you've been buying and start talking to this other one saying, well, I mean, I don't not like doing business with this other one. Let's see what they have to offer. Or what would make you kind of consider like maybe jumping ship, let's call it. I don't know what I'm saying, but does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I don't know that I've ever, no, I haven't. I can say that I haven't. I've never quit buying at a particular supply house.
Right.
We've cut our purchases.
Sure.
Sometimes, in order to make a point. Typically it's with the accounting, department. So we'll leave that at that. But one of the, I think that the loyalty thing definitely comes into play. Because you have that guy, right?
Yeah.
Or that salesperson they're your go-to, Hey, I need this, that, and the other. Perfect. It's on the truck. Yep. Be there in 10 minutes, whatever. Just get that exceptional service from them. And when you go buy from the other guy across the street, whatever, you go, God, you get this, sometimes you get a weird feeling, right? Like, am I going to screw up my relationship with the other guy? And I feel like you kind of have to do that. I used to have a guy that worked for me that was, yeah, well, he used to say you gotta hunt down that, the prime size chicken, right? Which means, you're going to the grocery store, right?
This is one of the, I love your analogies. I'm waiting for this one to play out here.
Yeah. But it's going and getting the thing that you need.
The prime size chicken.
Yeah. The prime size chicken, it's like the perfect size. It's not too big for three. It's, whatever. And so you got to go do what is right for the job you're working on. Right.
Yeah, I get that. But so, like if you've been, I mean, okay, I hear what you're saying. I think, let me interrupt and let me ask you, are you saying like logistically, like you're used to doing business with one company and it's a little bit of a risk or it's a little bit uncomfortable at first, but you work your way into it with this other one?
Yeah. I would say, and I don't know how you are, but I would say I have 5 supply houses.
Okay.
That I buy from.
Yeah.
Right. All plumbing, HVAC supply houses. All of them essentially sell the same thing.
Sure.
In the grand scheme of things, different brands,
product categories. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I can get press fittings at all of them. Yep. That's different, 3 different brands, 4 different brands, whatever. I don't have any reservation walking into one and saying, hey, I need this, that, and the other. And then going, I don't like your ball valves. You sell whatever brand at Y and I really want to have red and white or whatever,
right?
Whatever the case may be.
Yep.
And I don't have any problem going in and buying all of my press fittings from this one company and saying, I don't want your ball valves.
Sure.
Because you don't sell the ball valves I want. And then we have to buy them at the other place. Now, have I made that comment to that supplier? Hey, I wish you carried brand,
XYZ,
whatever. Yeah.
In this
case, I wish you carried their ball valves because then I'd buy them from you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so, I mean, like we said, we've said in the past for this type of discussion when it comes to loyalty is like building that relationship, being able to count on your supplier and them being able to, understand your business and try to meet you where they need to be.
Sure.
There's all that. I guess what I'm asking is like, do you disrupt that? And I think you've nailed it. Like, just that's kind of what the question really is do you consider disrupting that? Something that took you a little while to build up, simply because now maybe maybe they offer something different. I guess I haven't asked about price, right? So like, is price alone enough for you to go, right now they're bringing them on, right? And they're just advertising them. And I checked into the pricing and right now it's like slightly less. It's not a big difference by any means.
Yeah.
It's a premium product line as far as pricing goes. And I mean, it's a premium product, the tankless for sure. And so you expect that the pricing isn't going to be hugely discounted at any given time because your market is offering them from multiple suppliers. The manufacturer doesn't want one supplier to sell it for an exorbitant amount, any major difference, put it that way. They want to move product. No. They just want them all to move product, right?
Yeah.
So like as a contractor, are you looking at it saying, hey, I mean, these units are $50 cheaper right now. Is that enough? You know what I'm saying?
I look at things like that and I say, okay, $50 is great. Let's say I'm going to speculate that I'm going to say sell 10 of this tankless, right?
Yeah.
$50 a piece. That's $500. Perfect. Right. It's $500 extra that goes into the, oops, I forgot it category.
Or it's $50, it's half off of service valve kit per unit, right?
Yeah, right. So I always look at those kinds of things and say, well, I can buy it for $50 cheaper. That's a plus one to it.
Yep.
Is the service at that wholesale house mediocre enough that I'm going to be frustrated and spend 30 minutes longer picking up my material?
Yeah.
Because then I didn't save any money.
Yeah.
So I kind of weigh a few of those things. All of my supply houses right now are doing a really good job of just kind of being there to, have what we need.
That can kind of change over time. So, we've both seen it in our respective markets. Sometimes one is just, head and shoulders above the others.
Yeah.
And then they did.
A crappy warehouse manager or something.
Right. Yeah. Things change. Yeah. Right. Things change. Yeah. And I think they're all they're typically pretty well managed. It's whether or not their employees and turnover and their resources from above them can support to make things better.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it was just something that immediately popped into my mind when I read that. I'm like, I opened that email and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that they had,
That's
this
cool.
is brand new, obviously. And they're pushing training and stuff like that, which is great. I guess as a contractor in the area that does service, repair, install, I'm on the Navian, I get the calls, that kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
I love to see that they're pushing the training. I can't, do anything about people retaining the information or even going in and sitting in the class, but the rep is pushing. They do a good job, that particular rep. And that's huge. That's a good thing for the market too. Right.
Yep. Well, it is. Let me ask you this. So how would you treat it if, I know you don't have a Keller Supply there.
Right.
What if you were driving through Elk River and next week you're tooling around and you've come around the corner and there's a Keller Supply on the corner?
Would I look at
and hey, we're grand opening, open for business. What would you do in that case?
I would be, well, that's interesting. That's a really interesting question. Actually, I hadn't given it thought before just now. But you know what? That kind of did happen in a sense. They opened up a DSG branch. Really close to me. Now, DSG in my market is, I wouldn't call them huge. They have a presence. They actually came in and bought a previously regional. It was called Pipeline Supply, right? Sure. And when I started out, I did most of my business with Pipeline Supply because it was familiar, and they had a branch that was kind of up on the north side a little bit. I was kind of in the middle of two branches, so maybe it was one of the more convenient.
Just convenient, yeah.
Never was like a big fan of the company. And then, so at some point in time, and I don't remember when, probably when everything crashed, I was already self-employed, 2008, 9, 10 kind of time frame. I think if I remember right, at that time, I kind of went cash only on everything except for like Gooden. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like maybe Roberts, I wasn't cash only either, but mostly because I just wasn't doing a ton of business with those companies. DSG opens up here like 2 years ago now. I've never set foot through the door. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but that's an interesting question. I think I would definitely check out a new supplier. If a new supplier like that came in, I'd look into their reputation, of course. I mean, I would at least answer the phone call because they're going to have a sales force out there pounding the pavement and making calls trying to get a meeting with you. I'm not above that at all. So I guess maybe, considering like this tankless situation, I did look into the pricing, right? I already said that. I do business with both. Like, I was buying mainly from one. I do business with this one that brought it on. I'm also not buying, 5 at a time, put it that way. I try to keep a model in stock. Usually there's one in my shop, believe it or not. That changed during COVID. I would have never stocked the tankless on my, you're looking at with a valve kit, the unit. I'm not going to say it's $2,000, but it's close. You know what I mean?
It's close.
So like I didn't ever love the idea. I still don't love the idea of having one sitting there not being sold until it's needed. But, not having it is also a huge pain in the butt. So I've been keeping one in stock. So the price has pretty much always been like, it's been fair to me. My supplier's been fair on the price. I've never been buying off of like deep discounts on volume. So I guess maybe that would play into this conversation with another contractor who was doing that.
Yep. Yeah. No, I think that goes back and forth. I find, I guess, comfort in having options.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being able to look at it and say, well, I'm not going to put an Avian in on this one. I'm going to put in a Renai.
Sure.
I don't necessarily, I have different category or different, characteristics that I qualify both companies with.
Okay.
As far as level of support, how easy are parts to get,
right.
What kind of features. And, you and I had been talking about this, that we ordered a Renai RXP 199, one of their new Sensei units. And, I think the guys are installing that tomorrow.
I just put one in. Oh my God.
You said it was nice.
I'm telling you what, man.
That's why. That's part of you. I looked at it after you and I had talked about it, and I remembered looking at him when we were in Chicago.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Dang,
dude! I didn't even have to take the cover off of it.
That's amazing.
I mean, it would have been easier to check the gas pressure by taking but I didn't even have to do that because I had a drip leg and I have in my manometer kit a little bushing with the barb fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You set it up. This is turning into a Renai. We got to cut this, but hold on. You set not this segment, Lane. You can leave it.
Yeah.
You set it up with your phone. You don't have to have Wi-Fi. You don't.
That's
it's
crazy.
just Bluetooth, so you don't have to log into Gladys's internet, which is oftentimes
amazing,
a huge pain in the butt. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep. Yep.
And my complete setup, like you get to change elevations. You get, which is gonna be really nice for you.
Yeah.
You've got 4 different elevation slots, and the last one's like 7,000 to 12,000 feet or something like that.
Crazy.
It's friggin'
crazy.
So you can imagine like that 0 to 2,000 feet, the 2,001 to 4,000, whatever it is. You're gonna love that.
That's cool.
With the P model, you had the smart, like it just learning circulation immediately out of the box, comes with the crossover valve. You know what I mean? Like
that was I was looking at it. I'm like, okay, I don't have to buy the extra accessory. It's in the box. That's kind of cool.
Who's going to put it in?
So, Rob and Miles.
Rob is going to look at this and go, what? Why did we wait so long for something like this? He's going to be impressed.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from him.
I hope so.
Out to him.
Price point. We were talking about price point. It was a little more.
Yeah, they're premium too. And I thought they acknowledge that too when I talk to them. They're like, yeah, we cost a little bit more. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. I've had and part of the direction of this is that I've had such good luck with support with them. They had a little downturn here a few years ago, and it kind of irritated me, and that's kind of what shifted me off of that brand into competitor.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of getting the same shift going back the other way. And
look, I love both product lines. I really do when it comes to their tankless. I will outwardly say, like, I haven't been a boiler installer for their brands. That's not I'm not attaching an opinion on that. I'm just saying I have not been using those products from those 2 lines.
Right.
I have been installing their tankless. I have had nothing but good experience with the product, just physical product from both of them for years.
Yeah. I agree.
That's a whole different discussion when it comes to service, because right now the other major, their competitor Navian, has had a hiccup when it comes to tech support and things like that. Yeah. They're experiencing something that is less than optimal for us contractors out in the field. I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that's a professional way of saying it. I don't.
Yep.
I mean nothing negative to go, out toward them.
Sure.
And so I love their tankless product. I think it's bulletproof. You install it right, you're going to do really well. Any one of these companies stands to have problems with product, right?
Oh yeah.
But for performance between the two, they're great. This new RXP that you're going to be putting in, straight up, like I said on our conversation, I'm glad we're talking about it actually. I was blown away at how easy it was to install. Not that it's difficult to install the competitors, but the fact that I never even I pushed one button on the unit. It was a Bluetooth button.
That's crazy. I
didn't have to hold it down until it blinked or anything. I pushed it. I opened the app on my phone and I went connect, and then I went through the whole setup.
That's awesome.
So
that's a turn though, and we talked about this here recently on the TechMar episode. Was for how many years, right? Since the beginning of connected HVAC plumbing equipment, since the beginning, that Wi-Fi handoff, that handshake action has been an absolute pain in the butt, right? I mean, how many hours have you spent that are completely unrecoverable?
You know the answer to that, because boy,
I know the answer,
has anybody
and it is
heard
a lot.
My frustrations, it's been you.
Right.
I've spent so much more time than I should have, admittedly, doing that. I should have stopped so many times, way longer before I stood there for way too long.
I will say this, that doing that TechMar handoff, and I've had a couple of other devices that I've worked with, not in this field, that having that level of ease of connection is epic.
It is.
When you walk in and you're like, that's what I want to connect to. Oh, it's done. Are you kidding me?
I know.
What?
We're going to have to make this an episode, another episode, this topic again. Not just, I know we just talked about it, but maybe we even just talk after you guys install that. We could do a little shorty on this.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to get your feedback. Obviously, it's been tainted a little bit because I've tried to sell it to you even. And when I do that, because we're so close, I want you to have the same experience that I just had. I look at things with that lens too, where I don't have any obligation to tell you about anything, right? But I look at it going, oh, I really like this. Ooh, you know who could really benefit? Andy and his guys. That's how I look at it, right? And all of our friends that follow us on social and everything. And I want to revisit this. We're getting long. We're going to cut it off.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to think about this though. it's an interesting idea. What makes you switch, or is loyalty a big thing when it comes to a product you're used to buying? Do you just switch while you're buying it? What are the qualifications? I'm going to continue to think about that. Yeah.
Well,
maybe have a more coherent statement on it later on.
Yep. I'll encourage you to do this. Go step foot into DSG and see what their product lineup is.
I should definitely. My biggest complaint is I haven't got good pricing. Well, why do you get good pricing? Because I don't do business with them.
You don't do any business with them.
That's pretty obvious, right? That's on me.
I mean, if you're driving past it, maybe it's that place where you on the way home or on the way to the job, you can be like, oh, I need that condensate neutralizer. Whoop, swing in and it just opens an avenue. You're right. Even if it's $10 more.
Yeah.
Right. Is it not that 30-minute out of the way trip to go get that one piece because God dang, I got an account over there.
No, you're right. And establishing a relationship is probably going to make up for that price difference in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street. They work with you once you start working with them.
Right.
All right.
I know here locally they're a Navian Lochinvar, well, my Viessmann dealer. Who else do they sell? Burnham here.
Who's their
or
tanks?
US Boiler.
Bradford?
Lochinvar, Bradford.
We don't
Viessmann.
see Lochinvar tanks at all.
Oh, no, not like gas tanks. No, they're Bradford here.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're. I know that regionally they are different every region. And mostly because, like you said, they've bought other supply chain groups. So I think they've retained their product offering.
Well, on the note of Bradford White, one of our great partners for the MTGA podcast for many, many years now.
Yep.
Just want to put that out there. Made in the USA.
There you go.
Made in the MFN USA. Like, that's pretty cool.
You could say that.
All right. I'm hitting cut.
All right. Got it.
Everybody, thanks for
guys.
listening to this point. I know a lot of times I babble. Thanks for all your feedback. Hit us up in the, you can send us a text message now, which I think is cool.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, that's through the company that hosts our podcast stuff. They've got this function. If you look in the app that you're listening to us on, it's right there. You should be able to just hit us up. You can DM us over on the socials. You know all that information. You heard it 1,000 times. And Andy, I always hand it off to you. They can email us, but what is that address?
Make trades great again at gmail.com.
I leave you to say that because I mess it up every time. All right, I got to go.
I've gotten used to typing it in, so
yeah.
it's there.
All right, man. Thanks.
Later.